So devstream 175 has just ended, and it was the largest, most content-filled devstream of the year, and also the last one of the year. The Whispers in the Wall update is going to be huge, so let's jump right in and talk about everything from the new Warframe, new systems, new missions, and of course, CrossSave, which finally has a date. There is a reveal apparently at the Game Awards show as well, hopefully a date for the actual update with that, so make sure and tune into the award show when it goes live, but let's just jump right in. This is Corvex, the concrete frame. He is a brutalist, concrete Warframe. The footage you're seeing is unmodded, so the damage was going to be low, but his health is relatively high as well. Now, like I said, he is a brutalist concrete Warframe with a radioactive core contained within his body. Corvex abilities, because of that, are radiation focused. His passive ability is that he will imbue weapons with radiation damage, ensuring that there is radiation-based status effects being spread around to all of the enemies. His first ability was called Chirinka Pillar, I think he said, which is where Corvex will summon a pillar that emits radiation, and in doing so will also slow and damage enemies within its radius with guaranteed radiation status procs. Now, you can summon 2 pillars at once, which will allow you to, to strategically place them for choke points or to get the most out of the damage or the slow effect, the crowd control effect that they're going to get. Now, his second ability is called Containment Wall. This is where he will create 2 sets of walls and then smash them together, dealing damage, and I guess it kind of synergizes with the pillar ability as well. If you hit pillars with your abilities, it will increase the damage of those pillars, but also it will speed up the frequency at which those pillars dish out that damage as well. So it's kind of ideal for crowd control and I guess a denial of area as well. Now, his third ability is called Disometric Guard, and it provides a buff for Corvex and for his allies, which will prevent status effects from affecting you or your teammates, but it also increases the effectiveness of his radiation against enemies, so those radiation status procs that you put on enemies will be better once you have that buff active, but you're not going to get status effects affecting you or your teammates, which means no magnetic procs, no knockdowns, which means you can throw out Prime Sure-Footed and put something useful in, right? His fourth ability is called Crucible Blast, and this is basically where Corvex will unleash his core and fire a beam of damage which will trigger chain reactions on any enemies that it hits that is affected by radiation. Now again, Corvex was unmodded, so damage numbers aren't going to be, I guess, relevant towards what they would be like if you had a fully modded power strength Corvex, so we're going to have to get him in game to see just how effective any of his abilities actually are or what kind of damage they throw out. Now, Corvex is coming with a signature weapon, which is a unique radiation-based Archon called the Mandonel, which gives you 2,000 overguard whenever he summons it. Tapping the fire mode on it does a kind of shotgun shrapnel blast style of hit, and then channeling it apparently is a beam of energy that drops shards and interacts with those shards, but we didn't get a look at that in the dev stream, so we've not seen just how effective that's going to be. Now, Corvex is also coming with an alternate helmet and some cosmetics, and in order to get his blueprint, you will have to complete the Whispers in the Wall quest, or you can buy him outright for platinum in the store once the update actually hits. Now, there is new changes coming to the melee in Warframe with the Whispers in the Wall update as well. It is called TennoKai. It is a new melee technique that they're introducing, which will enhance heavy melee attacks without draining the combo counter. They've basically said that they've seen that melee is falling way behind primary and secondary weapons, and this is a way for them to buff that playstyle. Now, players can find mods supporting the TennoKai technique within the Whispers in the Wall missions, and upon completing the Whispers in the Wall quest, players will receive a new arsenal segment which will enable the TennoKai mods. So apparently, according to Pablo, there are 6 TennoKai mods that you can find in these missions that when you equip any of them will enable TennoKai. And the way TennoKai works is quite simple. Normally, using a heavy attack in Warframe in melee depletes your entire melee combo counter. However, with a TennoKai mod equipped, you will now get a visual sword-like icon on the screen whenever a TennoKai attack pops up, kind of like a quick time event. And if you're quick enough and you hit a heavy attack with this symbol on your screen, then it will not consume your combo meter. So it's almost a way to indefinitely combo and deal huge chunks of damage if you can, I guess, get these on time once the prompt shows up. So it's a nice way to keep your melee combo counter going while also utilizing normal melee attacks and then throwing in heavy attacks once that sword symbol pops up on your reticle. So if you're a melee user in Warframe, let me know in the comment section below what you think of the upcoming TennoKai changes. Now, with the Whispers in the Wall update, there is also 3 new game modes, 3 new missions, each apparently adding a unique twist to Warframe's gameplay experience. First up, there is Alchemy. This mode introduces a device called the Crucible, allowing players to engage in a sort of scientific alchemy session. The core idea for these missions is to combine basic elements to create complex ones while managing the Murmur threat or surviving against them. The gameplay focuses on mixing elements in an endless mode. The longer you can sustain the alchemy process, the more rewarding the gameplay apparently is going to become. Pablo said that grenades or grenade-like items drop on the ground, and you can choose to either pick them up and throw them at the Murmur enemies, or you can drop them into the Crucible for the alchemy, maybe to increase your rewards. Now, the next game mode on the next mission is called Netra Cells. This mode is a higher level variation of the Dragon Key or Derelict Vault missions within Albrecht's Biolab. Players will have to locate Netra Cells within the control labs, but they must first accept certain burdens. These burdens being like the negatives that you would have gotten with those Dragon Keys, so they will like inflict bleed status to one player, lower the health of another, no shield on another teammate, and so on. These will vary depending on whether you're in a squad or playing solo. In a squad, players can choose which frames will best help to deal with these burdens, and once all of the burdens are accepted and equipped on each of the players, players can then search for the elusive Netra Cells. Now, this mode apparently also introduces a loot system, providing rewards for successful mission completions. Pablo also said that these missions will give Archon Shards as rewards, so it's an extra way for us to get our hands on new Archon Shards. Now, the third mission is the Murmur Faction Assassination mode. This apparently is a new take on the classic assassination mission type within Warframe, focusing on the new Murmur faction. Like the guy on screen now, this mode is a twist on the usual boss killing missions. It's apparently going to have tasks for you to do within the mission before you can even get to the boss. You're going to need to complete these tasks, and there is more variations of the Murmur boss type as well that they've hinted at. Now, it kind of sounds like what you might do against the Archons, where you need to do certain tasks to open the pathway to get to the Archons. That might be something similar to these Murmur faction assassination missions. But we'll have to wait for the update to see just what these missions are like. Now, in addition to these 3 new game modes, they've also said that there's going to be a variation of the Mirror Defense mission coming with the Labs tileset as well. Now, as I said, there is going to be a new way for us to get extra Archon Shards, and because of this, they've added a new Archon Shard Upgrade system. I think they said it was the Coalescent Fusion system, where they're going to introduce 3 new coloured types of Archon Shards. Now, each new shard will come with its own set, apparently, of weird procs, but not stat boosts, and there is a new resource that you can farm for upgrading these as well, or for, I guess, for combining them. So we can combine colours to make other colours. For example, combining blue and yellow is going to give you a new green Archon Shard. Combining different Archon Shards will result in new upgrades or new stat and proc combinations maybe. Tauforged Shards apparently will also work with the fusion system, so if you have 2 different colour types of Tauforged Shards, you're going to be able to make one of the new coloured Tauforged. Now, this upgrade system is definitely a substantial one because it's going to give us different types of Archon Shards which are going to completely change and alter how some of our Warframe builds are going to perform, especially if they're giving us new procs instead of just stat boosts to health, power, and so on. So I'm definitely looking forward to getting my hands on some of these new coloured ones to see what kind of fun I can have. But let me know again in the comment section what you think of the Coalescent Fusion system and what it sounded like. Now, also coming slightly after the Whispers in the Wall update, a few days after, is the new clan event called Gargoyles Cry It. Now, this event won't start immediately, like I said, once the update drops. It's going to be several days later because apparently it contains significant spoilers that are integral to the clan operations, so they've said they're going to hold it off for a few days. Now, players can look forward to earning new items, including a standout cosmetic, the Vine Signa, so it's going to be the first signet you can earn in-game. The Laurel Wreath that's basically above your Warframe's head. Additionally, there'll probably be items from past events like clan sigils and so on. Unlike previous clan events, this one won't feature clan leaderboards. It's designed as a communal goal event, emphasizing collaboration over competition. Now, this event will also possibly include a new boss fight, possibly the one from the Murmur assassination mission type, which they've kind of hinted at on the dev stream as well. I think Pablo kind of hinted at it. But it is our first clan event in a very, very long time, so I'm really looking forward to that as well. Now, next up is the Arcane Dissolution system. Whenever we finish Whispers in the Wall, the quest, there will be an NPC somewhere that is going to offer us the option to dissolve arcanes for a new resource that can then be traded for other bundles of arcanes. So it's designed for players with stockpiles of arcanes. It allows them to convert the stockpile arcanes into a new type of currency called phosphor. Phosphor can then be used to purchase arcane packs from the vendor, which will give us a new way to get some of the, I guess, arcanes that you don't have. Now, what this is going to do for trade chat and the arcanes that people trade for platinum in that, I don't know. It might outright kill it. It might not. Again, we won't know until it's added into the game. Now, there is going to be a new melee weapon, a two-handed hammer, which we know we've seen Lloyd using during the Whispers trailer. That's a new weapon that's coming with the update that you're going to be able to get your hands on. Gauss Prime is the next Prime, following what Grendel Prime was previously. His Prime accessories are going to be a full set of Prime armor, shoulders, chest, legs, and so on, and he is also getting a Prime Sayandana. His weapons are going to be the Exceltra Prime and, of course, the Acarius Prime, and he is also coming with an alternate helmet for Gauss Prime as well. So I know a lot of people have been looking forward to Gauss Prime, so he is coming with the Whispers in the Wall update. Now, there is another new weapon. There is the Grimoire weapons. This... oh, what the fuck kind of way did I say that? Grimoire. This update introduces the Grimoire, a new secondary weapon type that has custom animations and a kind of gothic aesthetic. It's an awesome kind of Eldritch or Victorian styled weapon. There are also new mods coming with it for the Grimoires, because it is being treated as a special weapon. There are 2 new skins for the Grimoires also being worked on, which are also, I think, maybe coming with this update. One fantasy based and the other is definitely kind of sci-fi based as well. Now, on our last dev stream, they brought up the idea of a paid kind of level skip for new players, because they wanted new players to be able to jump straight into the new content after they've seen it and not spend several days or a week or whatever having to farm everything, make their way through mastery rank, and then finally get to the Whispers update. But there was a lot of blowback. The community did not like the idea of having to pay to skip levels or pay to skip stories, so they've changed that. With the Whispers in the Wall update, this plan has now changed into 2 different approaches. There is the main story quest accessibility overhaul, which is basically the update is going to restructure the way main story quests are accessed by, I guess, removing that need for the mastery rank, which is Warframe's progression system. Now, previously players had to wait for several real-time days in order to increase your mastery rank, which would then delay the access to some of the main story quests like the War Within. Now players can engage with the main cinematic story arc without being locked out by these mastery rank requirements. While the system's deeper aspects still require certain mastery ranks, the overall experience of the story apparently is now going to make it more accessible to new players, and it's not going to be locked behind a real money transaction. Now, however, they are introducing a power pack. Instead of the story skip, the update introduces a new Initiate power pack for new players, similar to some of the Initiate packs we have right now. This pack apparently is going to allow new players to obtain Warframes like Rhino, Nova, some weapons and so on. The other gear that's kind of necessary to engage in higher level content without the need for existing or extensive grinding. It's essentially a level skip for gear, helping players to quickly gear up to enjoy the new content and not have to go through several days or weeks of actual grind for them to enjoy it. But the story itself and having to go through all of those things, they're free, and that's basically just having the mastery rank requirement removed. Now, there is also going to be a recap system or a refresh system where you can access on a certain computer, which will show you each of the quests so that you can click on them and read on them, which will teach you all about Warframe's history, the story, and the lore. So that's also being added as well. Now, as far as the Whispers in the Wall quest and what you can expect from that, of course, they didn't share too much for obvious reasons, right? Spoilers. This quest will have players diving into the story involving Lloyd, Albrecht, and the Man in the Wall. It's also bringing 2 new tilesets for us to jump into. The quest is setting up future arcs and major threats within the Warframe universe, I would assume. Warframe 99. There is also more than 1 vessel that showed off on the dev stream. The vessels, we don't exactly know what they do yet, but we know there is a male one and a female one. The Man in the Wall's influence is going to be strong, adding a layer of horror to the game. It's also going to include 2 new enemy types. I'm also assuming these are the Murmur enemies and the Necromechs. The Whispers in the Wall update is also bringing a new syndicate called, I think Megan said Cavia or something like that they also didn't want to spoil anything about. So we're going to have to find all of this out once the update actually drops. Now that leads us to possibly the biggest reveal or the biggest item on the night for the dev stream, which is of course CrossSave, or as they kept calling it on the dev stream, the Drip Gate. So Whispers in the Wall is bringing CrossSave, but there is a catch, hence the Drip Gate name. The rollout will be carefully managed to avoid overloading the game's infrastructure and to address, I guess, potential issues that might arise from CrossSave, like maybe people losing accounts and so on. So it's going to be a phased rollout over the course of the Whispers update, similar to what Warframe have done on previous stress tests. So apparently founders will get the first phase of CrossSave, and it's going to be available to them first, with gradual expansion after that to more players as the, I guess, CrossSave becomes more successful. So they've promised to keep the community updated about each phase and when players can expect access, so it is going to be open to players over time. Now, there are features with CrossSave. Players will be able to trade with other players across different platforms, provided that both players have CrossSave enabled. So cross-trade is going to be a thing, because I know that's something that a lot of players have been requesting or talking about. I will do a more detailed video tomorrow about CrossSave, because I feel like it needs its own discussion or its own long video to explain it all, because they are making two different types of cross-save systems in the merging type and of course linking. So linking is where players will select a primary Warframe profile, maybe your PC account, and then they will link their other accounts to it. Now, their primary account's progress and purchases will then be accessible to all linked platforms. Now, merging, on the other hand, is a one-time account merge system which will combine items from different platform accounts into the primary account, including customizations, resources, currencies. So if you have a PC account and a PlayStation, Switch or Xbox account and you want to merge them all into one, then you will have to pick which one you want them all to merge into, which will then become your main account, and all of the items from the other accounts will then merge into that one on that platform. But it will have restrictions because founders' items aren't available on some consoles, as well as some cosmetics, so they won't cross over, which means you might lose them. Like I said, I will make a new video on this topic tomorrow, a longer one, to better explain it. But I think they said that if your account was made from today onwards, then you won't be eligible for merging, but any account made before this will be. So again, I'll make a more detailed video on this topic tomorrow. Now, I know this is a topic that we've all wanted for such a long time, but Warframe is a 10-year-old game, so implementing cross-save for a game with a decade, I think they've said, of live content across multiple platforms is going to give them very unique technical challenges, and the last thing any of us want is for any of our items on any of our accounts to get lost or deleted in the process. So that's why they are slow rolling it out to founders first and then everyone else bit by bit after that, because certain items or currencies might not be transferable to other platforms depending on platform specific restrictions. So like I said, CrossSave is coming with the Whispers in the Wall update. It is going to be a drip gate, I think they said, but it is finally here. Now, the update is looking absolutely huge. December is going to be a very busy month for those of us who enjoy Warframe. Oh, and we did get a tiny glimpse of Petting the Wolf in Soulframe from Steve, who they've said have just opened up their pre-alpha registrations for next month. So if you want to participate in the Soulframe pre-alpha, then make sure and go over to Soulframe's website and register your name, because it is also moving along very nicely. So that's the dev stream. Like I said, I will make separate videos for some of these topics because I think they kind of deserve it, and we can go over them in more detail. But let me know in the comment section below what you like the look of during the dev stream. Have a great day, have a great weekend, and as always, thanks for watching.